we have problems when it comes to addiction to prescription drugs.
Yeah, I think, is there an observation or more research done in terms of, abuse of substance abuse happening at a younger age? People at the age when people start abusing drugs or, using drugs of some form has changed, and what are the impacts again on the health equities?
I would say that there's always this phase in teenage years to experiment.
Mm-hmm.
So they experiment. They experiment with drugs. They experiment with alcohol. They experiment with marijuana, smoking marijuana. They experiment with smoking. Now it's vaping. So in a small number of people, this becomes an addiction and unmanageable. And when that happens, then it's problematic. Most people manage it. They manage it. They experiment and say, I don't want to touch drugs. Or they'll say, I'll just smoke weed sometimes. Or they'll say, I don't want to smoke anything. No vaping, no smoking, no anything, or not zero tolerance for drugs also. Or the occasional drink. They'll have the occasional drink. But what has happened now is that we have problems when it comes to addiction to prescription drugs.
Yeah.
So you have addictions to oxycodones, benzodiazepines, to Valium, to Xanax. These are prescription drugs, but people are getting addicted to that. So someone's prescribing those for them. Now we have medicinal cannabis. We have to really be careful and see that whoever is prescribing understands the health of the person. So these are challenges we face. And when I look at post-conflict societies, I also look at human trafficking, arms trafficking, drug trafficking. These are the big three money earners in the world, illegal money earners. So you have arms, because someone is giving the arms to these rebel armies throughout the world, to say, you have various ones, I won't name them, but we know many of them around the world, they get arms. So arms trafficking goes on. We have newer arms being manufactured. What's happening to the old arms? They are being sold somewhere. So that's something. Then you have drug trafficking. So there's this whole, you could say, a global network, supply chain network of illegal drugs that they find ways. You find people carrying drugs and being caught. That's just small. That's small. You have large amounts going around the world. And in countries where there's absolutely strict penalty, that becomes difficult. Say like Singapore or Vietnam or Indonesia, it's the death penalty. You will be sentenced to death if they find you with drugs, whatever the amount. So then that acts as a deterrent. But for others, when they know that you might have a fine or 8 years in prison and then you might come out, people try. So there's a huge volume of drugs all around the world. You have fentanyl, ketamine, you have manufacturing units in various countries where illegal drugs are being manufactured and going around. This is a problem, because as long as that is not stopped, you'll have drugs that will be peddled, and you'll have addicts that'll grow out of that, who then have psychotic episodes and fall through the system. And then there's the human trafficking, where people are trafficked throughout the world, and we know that happens because everyone is looking for a way out. You find it difficult to live in certain countries. You want a way out of countries which have brutal regimes. I think where Afghanistan has stopped the higher education of women after the age of 12. That, to me, who values education, is so difficult to understand. That if I was a woman, a young girl or a woman in Afghanistan, I would want to leave because it's so hard there. I won't get an education, an opportunity for an education. Or for that matter, you would be growing up in Eritrea, say, or growing up in Libya, or growing up in Haiti, or growing up in El Salvador, where it's so brutal and where there's not enough work for young people. you'd want to leave. And that is another, that's where the traffickers come in. You know, they know that there are people who want to leave, young people who want to leave. So that makes it undocumented people being trafficked.